Hey, I'm Stephanie, and it's time to stumble into style. Welcome to today's Makeup Monday video. Last week, I talked about my very first ever panning project, and in it, I mentioned that there were two products in it that were from my very first original makeup kit. And two different viewers asked me what was in my original makeup kit, and I know at least one of them is currently trying to put together her own, and so I thought in today's video I'd talk about what was in my very first makeup bag, and I would also maybe include a couple of general tips and a little bit of basic information in case anybody watching is trying to create their own makeup bag, or maybe one for someone else. If you've never seen one of my videos before, hello! I am currently on my very own style journey, trying to find my own sense of style using mainly what I already own. If you like that kind of thing, feel free to like and subscribe to see more. But now we're going to delve into today's topic, which is how to create a very first, very basic makeup bag. The reason I thought this would be an interesting topic is because I think if you ask 3 different people what was in their very first makeup bag, you're going to get 3 very different answers. And the reason I say that is because I've watched a lot of videos on this topic over the years just because I think it's fun to see, how people started off with makeup. My first makeup kit was pretty streamlined. There was just a handful of products, they were easy to apply, and it didn't take me a whole lot of time to put on. My very first makeup bag consisted of exactly 6 items: a concealer, an eyebrow pencil, an eyeliner, a mascara, a lip liner, and bronzer. Now, every cosmetic company on the planet pretty much makes all of those sorts of products, so if you're putting together your very first makeup bag, you can go pretty much anywhere to get any of those items, whether it be the drugstore, a department store, online, or just cosmetic stores in general. However, I happened to go to Lancôme to get mine, and the reason was because I looked in my mom's makeup bag and saw lots of Lancôme in there and thought, it must be good if she uses it. So I drove to the department store and I went to the Lancôme counter. I basically told the woman there what I was looking for. I said I didn't want to look like I was wearing makeup. I just wanted to define my features and I wanted it to be as simple as possible because I knew nothing about makeup. And so she took me aside and she got out a couple of products. She did my makeup and she even got out like a little face map and she shaded in where she put what product and she listed the product names for me. And it's a good thing she did that because I had a very small budget that day. I could only afford one product, and so I decided at that time I would choose the one product that I thought would be the most important out of all of those, so I chose the brown eyeliner. And the reason for that was because I figured maybe I could use the eyeliner on my eyebrows as well, and I'd get kind of like a 2-for-1 deal. So that's what I did. I bought that eyeliner, and that's all I used for about the first 3 or 4 months of my makeup career, and it worked just fine. Now that I've used makeup for a while, I really appreciate the differences between formulas, but back then I had no idea, and to be honest, it worked. So it was great. And I kept that face map at home for a while, and unbeknownst to me, my mother had discovered it in my room, and she went out and she bought the rest of the products for me for Christmas that year. So by the time I launched my music career, I had a makeup bag that was bursting with 6 beautiful products that I treasured beyond belief because it meant to me that not only was I a musician, but now I would also look like one. That handful of products was small but mighty and incredibly effective. And I think part of that was simply because the individual products were high quality and the formulas performed well. However, I also think that a good deal of that was simply because of the product category itself. So I thought in this video I would actually apply this look on camera using I'd say products that are equivalent to what was in my original kit, even though I don't necessarily have all of the same products. And as I apply the makeup, I'm not going to use any tools like makeup brushes because back then I didn't own any. I simply used my fingers. And so that's what I did today, just to show you that you don't need a whole lot of complicated stuff to get things done, especially when it comes to makeup. Concealer is a great product for a starter kit because it can be a really versatile tool to cover dark circles, spots and blemishes, or help to even out skin tone. My first concealer was a high coverage product, which means it has a lot of pigment in it, and that might seem intimidating to a beginner, but it had a lot of advantages. First of all, a little goes a long way, so one tube lasted a little over a year when I used it daily. But if my concealer has more pigment, I find that I can use extremely thin layers of product that crease less and let the texture of my skin shine through for a more natural look. Many people like to choose a concealer that's a shade or two lighter than their skin so that they can use it to highlight certain planes of their faces. That's also something I do nowadays, but if your starter kit is extremely basic and doesn't include a product like foundation, which is makeup that you can use all over your face to even out your skin, I think it's best to choose a concealer shade that's as close as possible to the actual shade of your skin. Then you can easily use it to cover spots anywhere on the face, and it will blend in easily. And if you wake up one day and need to even out your skin tone, you can even mix a high coverage concealer with a little bit of moisturizer or primer to thin it out a bit and create your first foundation. I was very glad that my first concealer matched my skin so well because I was able to use it for everything. Then come the eyes, the window to the soul. Defining them can make such a big difference in how we look. And because eyeliner and eyebrow pencil can create the illusion that our eyes or brows have a different shape, they can influence our expression and the way we come across to people. Mascara adds the finishing touches, drawing other people's gaze to that defined section of the face. My first makeup kit had very basic colors. A cool taupe brow pencil that was a couple of shades darker than my blonde hair to define my brows, a brown liner that I could easily and somewhat naturally blend into my eyelashes, and a brown mascara that made my lashes a little more voluminous without being quite as dramatic as black would have been. The lips are also a feature that's fun to define because they can really influence the overall impression of a face too. My kit included a lip liner that was just a bit darker than my natural lip color, but was still natural enough that I could overline my lips to alter their shape and contour them a bit by creating a sense of shadow and light. The fact that my liner came with a brush on the end really helped blur the edges if I wanted to. I could also use the lip liner as a lipstick if I completely filled in my lips. And lastly, the face. The only color cosmetic I had in my original kit was a bronzer. That's a product many people use to look as if they've been out in the sun or to define the shape of their face. The bronzer I'm using today is very different than the one I had back then. Mine was an in-between shade, tan enough to make me look sun-kissed, but red enough to make me look a little bit flushed. It was a perfect cross between bronzer and blush. The finish was satin, with just enough sheen to add a subtle glow to my complexion. It was a great first color cosmetic product because it was so versatile. If you're only going to get one color cosmetic product for the face, then my advice would be to try to find a color and a finish that's as versatile as possible. Remembering the contents of my very first makeup bag reminds me that it is possible to make a great impact with very few things as long as you know how to use them. And that's something that I would like to keep in mind going forward. To this day, I'm still thankful for that first makeup kit. It had everything I needed to get started. And I'm also really glad that I got such a good listener at the Lancôme counter that day, because a first makeup kit really does have to be based on your preferences if you're going to really learn how to use it well. For example, I had told her that I wanted a really simple program, so she didn't overload me with a lot of stuff that day. The other thing was I said that I didn't want to look like I was wearing makeup, so she chose very natural colors for me. And that made it, of course, easy to use as well. However, if you're putting together a makeup kit for yourself or for someone else, you're going to want to take your preferences and your coloring and your skin type into account. For example, I am a white lady with blonde hair, and that means the second I go out in any sort of light, more than candlelight, my blonde eyebrows completely disappear and you can't see them anymore. And so that means I'm the sort of person who benefits greatly from something like a brow pencil, because then I can frame my face with some eyebrows. However, if you are someone with really dark, full brows, an eyebrow pencil might not be your most needed product. Another thing is that I wanted to look natural. I didn't want to look like I was wearing color cosmetics. However, if you're a huge fan of color, then maybe you'd want to add a really colorful eyeshadow or a really nice lipstick in there. That's just not something that I was interested in at the time, and so it's good that it wasn't in there. And the last thing to take into account is maybe your skin type or your coloring. For example, that woman at the counter took one look at my face and saw that at that time I had flawless skin and I didn't need foundation. However, I have since developed rosacea, and now I'm very thankful that when I'm having a flare-up, I can cover it with foundation. So if you're the sort of person who might want to even out your skin tone, then looking into a good foundation that suits your skin type will really help. So that might be something else you might want to add to your kit. I am going to put a very basic selection of items together in the description box, just as a basic starter point, as suggestions for a kit. But if you have specific questions, feel free to ask. I mean, I'm not like an official makeup expert, but I've played with a lot of makeup over the years. So if you'd like any suggestions, just let me know. And maybe if you leave a comment with questions, other people will also answer. To be honest, I don't know, because not a whole lot of people watch this channel, but who knows? Wouldn't that be fun? I had a great time looking back today, so I'm very thankful to those viewers who asked me questions about last week's video. If you have any suggestions for future topics for Monday makeup videos, then please feel free to let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for choosing to spend some of your time with me today. I hope you have a wonderful week, that I'll see you again soon, and that we can all remember that even stumbling can be a form of moving forward. So let's stumble in style.